All right, so we're going to go ahead and go over 2.2 notes. We'll try to give you sort of a brief version as far as what we covered within the class, and this will help you out here as far as from a virtual perspective to be able to stay on point. Now with 2.2, please remember, just continue to work on the federalism and the COVID-19 assignment. Now for tomorrow, 2.3, that's everybody's remote, so with pretty short notes there. We do have a Supreme Court set of notes with an outline that we'll go over. You need to fill those in for that. So a little lengthy as far as the notes. Assignment is relatively short. There again, all assignments will be due for Friday. Make sure you're doing these notes because there again, that's the way attendance is counted. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about here as we break down the state of North Carolina's governmental system, first thing we need to know is this, that per the Constitution, under the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, we talked about yesterday, all powers not granted to the federal government reserved for the states. Okay, so this lets us know that there is federalism, division of power between federal government and state government. Now, what is the requirement for state governments? The mandate or requirement is that all states uphold a Republican form of government. That's only form fitting. If we have a Republican form of government as far as federal government, why would we change that as far as the state? Okay, that would create confusion and chaos. So we keep the forms of government symmetric as far as Republican in form. Republican meaning we elect representatives. We hold the rule of law. We encourage a three-branch system. All right, now, here's what you need to know about state governments. Not every state government has a three-branch structure. All right, I don't personally know of any that don't have the three-branch. I do know that, of course, what you need to know is North Carolina, and we, of course, incorporate a three-branch structure. It is not required, all right, but the Republican form of government is. Each state has its own written constitution, and these documents are far more elaborate than their federal counterparts. Case in point, in the U.S. Constitution, there is no mentioning of a right to an education, but in the state government or state constitution, you will see that in there. So sometimes state constitutions are a little more specific, and the U.S. Constitution sometimes is a little bit more broad as far as what it's trying to get across. But nevertheless, that's what you need to know. Each state has to have a Republican form of government. Although the three-branch system is not required, the state of North Carolina incorporates that. All right, also in the North Carolina government is the Constitution. After the Declaration of Independence in 1776, North Carolina drafted its first state constitution. And by the way, North Carolina was the first of the delegates to sign the Declaration. So if you see the car tag that says First in Freedom, that's why. All right, so the North Carolina Constitution, like the U.S. Constitution, is meant to be flexible, okay? Sometimes we refer to the Constitution as a living document. There again, we refer to it as a living document because it's open to change. So we say constitutions are flexible and they can be amended. They can be changed. That's what amended means. Now, like the U.S., North Carolina's Constitution, it does imply popular sovereignty. All right, we the people. All right, the people basically are able to dictate to the government. All right, the people lead the government. The people are the government. All right, the federal government itself, the state government is limited. All right, we give rights to the people. We separate their powers. Therefore, we're limiting the state government. So it's very similar to the federal counterpart. All right, limited government, separation of powers, checks and balances. They're all implemented in our state government, just like we have in our federal government. Declaration of Rights, a state form of Bill of Rights for the North Carolina citizen. All right, so just as we have a Bill of Rights for the U.S. Constitution, you got a Declaration of Rights for the state constitution. Religious liberties are mentioned, freedom of speech, press. There again, your right that's not found in the U.S. is education. So there again, there's your case in point as to how sometimes that the state constitution is a little more specific in detail than your U.S. Constitution. But there again, you see the line of symmetry in both U.S. and NC Constitution. Moving on. All right, so North Carolina government, you see that we have the three-branch structure. All right, remember, not all states are required. North Carolina implements it. The General Assembly is also referred to as the legislative branch of government. So if you're watching the news, the local news, and the news anchor mentions, well, the General Assembly met today. You probably heard that before. There again, that's implying the legislative branch of government. It too has a two-house Congress, all right, like the legislative branch of government, our federal government, House of Representatives and a North Carolina Senate. Okay, each member serves 2-year terms. They do the same thing in the legislative branch on a state scale that they do on a U.S. scale, and that's prepare state bills in hopes that would become state law. All right, the only difference is that the governor would sign that bill into law, whereas a federal bill would be signed by the president. Okay, that there again, same working capacity. The governor serves as the executive branch. Governor is the highest office in the state. He is responsible for a state budget. All right, what is a budget? There again, a budget is knowing how much money is going out, how much money is coming in. All right, most state constitutions require that a governor keep a balanced budget. There again, expenses and income at least equal. All right, if it becomes a deficit, then the governor, could receive consequence for that. So some state constitutions require that he have either a balanced budget or a surplus budget. And of course, if he's operating in a surplus budget, it looks better on his track record. Many governors try to run for president of the United States. And so because they're used to that executive role on a state scale. All right, so they're responsible for the state budget. They execute state laws, and they are in charge of the state military forces, the National Guard. All right, so just remember that. Okay, very similar, just on a state scale as far as President of the United States. Council of State consists of several elected department heads. There again, you got your lieutenant governor, second highest executive office. Here's a little bit different, all right, than the president, vice president. When you're eligible to vote and you go cast your vote, when you bubble your sheet, your ballot sheet, when you vote for a president, you're also voting for the vice president, okay? They're not on separate ballots. They used to be in early America, but no longer are they on separate ballots. However, you need to know this, as far as North Carolina, currently we have a Democrat governor in Roy Cooper, and we have a Republican lieutenant governor, all right? So there are separate ballots for governor and lieutenant governor, all right? So it is possible to have a Democrat governor and a Republican lieutenant governor in which we have current, okay? So make sure you know that. First in line to succeed the governor, serve 4-year, no more than 2 consecutive terms. All right, that sort of is the makeup of the Council of State working under the governor. State court, there again, highest state court, as we talked about yesterday, North Carolina Supreme Court serves as the judicial branch of government. There's 7 justices on the state Supreme Court, whereas there's 9 on U.S. They have elected terms, whereas the judicial branch on a U.S. scale is in for life, all right, unless there's grounds of dismissal because of bad behavior. All right, they do the same thing. They interpret the state constitution and state laws, okay? So make sure that you know that, all right, as far as the working capacities of North Carolina's legislative branch, executive, and judicial, okay? All right, local governments must be granted power by the state. All right, municipalities, fancy word for saying town. The only way that they can receive township is they have to create a local charter. It's a document written by a county to seek permission to govern themselves. So that local charter is required for any municipality to exist. So how many towns do we have in Graham County? Robbinsville, Stecola, Santilla, Fontana. In order for those towns to be able to be in existence, at one point in time, they had to have a local charter sent to the state. Okay, state then would give their permission for that. So that's the only way that a local government can operate. Some functions of the state and local government, the militia. There again, refers to a military force of ordinary citizens to provide defense, emergency law enforcement at times of emergency without being paid. Most of these people have, day-to-day jobs. They do their, get their hours, get their time in, on the weekends, or whenever they have a free moment. There again, they are ordinary citizens and they are not being paid for the most part. We often refer to the militia as the National Guard, and sort of today. Another function of state and local governments is pass ordinances. Sometimes when local ordinances are passed, we don't use the word local law, we use local ordinance. All right, but there again, if you see the term ordinance, you need to know that that is a function of state and local government, and that is to pass local laws. Collecting taxes, there again, is very symmetric regardless of what governmental system you're talking about, federal, state, or local. All right, all elements of government have to have a collection of taxes in order to be able to function. All right, without the taxes, you don't function properly. Case in point, Articles of Confederation. Please remember, they couldn't tax the states, so they couldn't function, okay? So federal, state, local governments have to have tax dollars. Some of your local governments will function properly, with the inclusion of a property tax and a sales tax. So much percentage goes to your local governments, all right? In continuance, there again, another role of state and local governments is to supervise elections, all right? They're in charge of the overall responsibility for administration of the election process. The state and local governments also have to maintain highways, all right, for them to provide public highway maintenance and safety. It's not your job to get out of here and fix the road, or some private business to fix the road. It's a state, okay, if it's a public highway. Utilities, service such as water, gas, electricity, water treatment, and garbage collection. They too are working contents of state and local government. Okay, so just some examples here as far as state and local governments at work. Whoops. Yeah, okay. All right, so mayor council plan, elected mayor, shares power with an elected city council. Aldermen, members of city council passes the ordinance, local laws. A third of the U.S. cities follow this plan. Now, the mayor council plan, these are types of local government that you see here. The mayor council plan really is types of local governments that large scale cities adopt. New York City, big cities have this, where there again, the mayor has more of, that executive role, in which, aldermen and city councils, they all work together. Your mayor council plan, the council manager plan are all large scale for the most part, big cities. Citizens elected council in the middle one here, which then hires a city manager. Mayor is elected, who is the head of the city council. Most North Carolina cities and towns use this plan. So there again, if you're a large scale, you're probably the mayor council plan or the council manager plan. Sometimes rural settings, as such in Graham County, have a commission plan. County commissioners are representatives that are elected to ensure county needs are met within the boundaries of state laws. Okay, that's the kind of plan where we elect county commissioners or representatives to work on our behalf. Okay, so there again, I guess one you should be most familiar with as far as your setting is concerned would be the commission plan. And remember, those other types of plans are more large scale. All right, that's all of 2.2 notes. That's just there again, a little bit of a brief rundown, about 12 minutes long. That's basically what we went over in class. Please watch this, take notes, and continue to work on the COVID-19 federalism assignment. Have a good day.